and now let's discuss some company-specific news. We've got Mr. Guru Prasad Srinivasan, the CEO, Quess Corp, and also Kamal Pal Hoda, the CFO at Quess Corp, joining in on the show right now. Remember, the headcount has crossed a good 6 lakh. They've become the global staffing giant as well. The workforce management is going to continue to aid revenue for them. Let's try and understand with both these gentlemen. Mr. Srinivasan, if I could first come to you. Morning, firstly. To begin with, you've got the headcount which has now crossed 6 lakh, joining Global League of Staffing Giants. Does this make you the youngest to achieve this in a span of what, just 17 years?
Very good morning, and thank you for having us on the show. Yes, we did, announce our 600,000, crossing 600,000 by headcount, and puts us on to a global map in terms of, on the club of the large employers globally. And of course, in India, we continue to lead by far. What does this mean to us? Definitely, it's an acceleration and the youngest to achieve in terms of 17 years that we took to reach where we are today. And we have been adding almost about, anywhere between 60 to 70,000 headcount net adds per year. So yeah, happy to be where we are and look forward from here to how we can take this forward at an aggressive growth rate.
Yes, indeed, that does sound very promising. And I wanted to get in a view from you, Mr. Hoda, because there's also the government's focus on the formalization of labor and employment generation. How does this overall impact the company or benefit the company? Either of you can, of course, take the question.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So yes, I think this has been a very progressive budget, and first time government has been bringing production-like incentives for manufacturing. This is the first time that we have had this scale of employment-linked incentives clearly targeted towards formalization. Various schemes, both for first-time employees and also to employers who are creating additional employment, and definitely some additional schemes towards skilling. While the detailed guidelines are awaited from government as to how the implementation will happen over these schemes. But we believe that, being at 6 lakh, being the largest, one of the largest in the country in the employment space, we can create a massive impact through these initiatives that government has announced towards formal job creation.
So just if I may add a few more points to Kamal, first time ever we have seen budget really reinforcing a lot on employment generation. And very specifically to be noted is movement from informal to formal. So I think that's a very key initiative which is most required. Otherwise, the formal employment is a very low percentage in India. So and the movement from informal to formal is something that needs to be addressed. And Quess stands in kind of in a transition from an informal to formal. So we work with entities who need the workforce, plus we bring people from various corners of where they are available from. And the biggest gap is skill. So government has started addressing that in 3 parts. So the budget really reinforces one set of scheme created specifically for employees who move from one corner to another. They need that initial funding to sustain themselves better. And on the other end, employers to generate, to hire them, to move them into the formal segment, focus more on hiring the freshers. Just to give some data point, in our Q1 result itself, if you look at almost 29% were first time UAN coming on to of the total workforce that we hired, which means if you have hired about 30,000, about 29% come as first time to employment as part of the gross addition. So it's a good initiative, and we definitely have quite a lot to do in that space. I'm sure as we move forward, we'll see a good transition that will happen, and the bottom of pyramid is something that will start gaining more, I would say, gainful employment in terms of social security benefits and all of that coming in together. So it's a progressive step.
Simple question, that out of the workforce what you have, how much is skilled and how much is non-skilled? And how much this workforce addition would be in demand with the existing skills 3 years from now in today's AI world? Anybody can answer it.
Let me take this in multiple parts. First and foremost, of our 600,000, I would say almost, we'll have a combination of semi-skilled and skilled. So when I talk about skilled, there will be all high-end IT who are into coding or who are into technology, who are into high-end sales. So they would be part of the skilled. That percentage would be about 25 to 30%. The majority would fall into semi-skilled. That would be almost about 60 to 65, 70%, almost 65% will be semi-skilled, and unskilled will be a very small portion of our workforce. So that's the first data point. With regard to the demand, it is, these are highly cyclical and seasonal. So if I were to take this, currently we are running up through the season. And Q1 generally, between Q1 and Q2, we see consumer retail telecom sector hiring more, logistic and supply chain due to the festivities around. And as we enter into H2, manufacturing and BFSI would slowly start picking up. And those who really spiked in Q1 will also start tapering down as we move into Q3. So it's a seasonal cyclic, but what we have seen in Q1, the large contribution comes from consumer retail telecom and retail and some part of BFSI.
Okay. I just wanted to also understand the global tech solutions, because that, of course, has a new head, and you're really looking at greater competencies when it comes to data technology, AI, and analytics. Can you tell us a little bit more about what will really be driving growth here?
Sure. First and foremost, we have announced our demerger process, and Kamal will definitely add more to it. We announced the process, and as part of the process, as an organization, we are also preparing towards setting up each of the tower in itself to get its right leader in place. So we did the leadership strengthening and structure for GTS. GTS is a very high margin business for us. It delivers almost about 18%, anywhere between 17 to 18% of EBITDA. And we work in three different spaces. So the first one is largely voice and non-voice and technology platforms. So we operate into three spaces. As you rightly said, there's a lot of play of digital in that space. And we have, as we speak, we are incubating and experimenting. A lot of processes that we are automating. For example, how can the caller productivity can get better? Instead of doing 100 calls, can they do a quality 5 calls or 10 calls and get the similar kind of conversion? So we are, adding a lot of digital to our platform where we can bring in more productivity to people across.
Okay, good to know. And I just wanted to understand as well, Mr. Hoda, as to what the outlook is on the workforce management segment, and how you're really looking at developing margin accretive service lines and really strengthening investment in sales and leadership.
Sure. So workforce management, and in fact for the entire group as a whole, we are targeting to have a double-digit revenue growth this year. Last year, on a full year basis, we did around 11% growth in revenue and almost 19% growth in EBITDA. This year, Q1, we started well. On a full year basis, year on year, Q1 was 9% up on revenue and again 19% up on EBITDA. So we started the year well. Festive season, which is an important season for us, where the hiring shoots up, has started again well for us. We are seeing a good open mandate, around 40,000 of them, which is almost 20% up in last 3 months. And Guru did allude to the sectors which are hiring. So we're confident that this year we should be able to repeat a growth performance very similar to last year.
All right, good to know. Looking promising for the quarters ahead, talking about how hiring is going to pick up and how the GTS business as well is a high margin business. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you.
All right, it's time to slip into a quick break right here on the